the Watcher of Westfield. In 2014, Derek and Maria Broadus purchased what they thought was their dream home in the quiet, affluent suburb of Westfield, New Jersey. The house at 657 Boulevard was perfect, spacious, elegant, and ideal for raising their 3 children. But shortly after they began renovations, something unsettling happened that would turn their dream into a nightmare. A letter arrived in the mailbox, addressed simply to the new owner. At first glance, it seemed like a harmless note. But as Derek unfolded the letter, he felt his skin crawl. It read, "Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard?" Chilled, Derek called the police. Immediately, they assured him it was probably a prank. But that explanation offered no comfort when a second letter arrived just days later, more personal and threatening than the first. "I see you've started to move in," it began. "Have you found what is hidden in the walls yet? In time you will. I see you have children. Have they found the basement yet? Once they are down there, they will never want to go up again." The letters kept coming, each more sinister than the last. The author, who called themselves the Watcher, seemed to know intimate details about the Broadus family, where each family member slept, their routines, even the names of their children. The Watcher claimed ownership of the house in a way that was obsessive, almost worshipful. It was clear they believed the house was something more than just a building. To the Watcher, it was alive, almost sacred. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. Another letter said, "It is my duty to watch and wait for its return. The house is crying to me. It needs young blood." Derek and Maria felt powerless. They stopped the renovations and never moved into the house. The letters continued, no matter how many precautions they took. Private investigators were hired, surveillance cameras installed, but the Watcher was never caught. The letters kept arriving. The family eventually sold the house, but the story of the Watcher haunted them. Despite a police investigation, no one was ever charged, and the identity of the mysterious stalker remains a terrifying mystery to this day. What's worse is that the new owners also began receiving letters, as if the house itself had chosen them, bound them to a dark force that no one could understand. To this day, no one knows who the Watcher was or is, and no one knows what they meant by what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard. But the letters stopped being sent for now. Perhaps the Watcher is waiting for the next family to arrive, for the next wave of young blood. The haunting of the Bell Witch. It was the early 1800s in Robeson County, Tennessee, a quiet rural town tucked between rolling hills and dense forests. The Bell family, led by John Bell, had recently settled there, hoping for a peaceful life. But peace was far from what they found. The first signs of trouble were subtle. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, they heard a faint tapping on the walls. John shrugged it off as the wind, but the tapping soon turned to scratching. Night after night, the sound grew louder, more persistent, until it became a constant torment. Then things escalated. Betsy, John Bell's young daughter, was the first to feel the unseen force. It would tug at her hair while she slept, yank the sheets off her bed, and leave strange bruises on her arms. Sometimes it would whisper in her ear horrid, menacing things, leaving her trembling in fear. The entity became so bold that it began to speak out loud, its disembodied voice echoing through the Bell home. It would mock the family, predicting their misfortunes and laughing at their distress. Word of the Bell Witch, as it came to be known, spread quickly through the county. Neighbors, friends, even pastors came to witness the strange events. Some claimed to hear the eerie voice for themselves, while others saw objects move on their own or felt icy fingers brush against their skin. The witch seemed to relish in tormenting those who doubted its presence, making it clear it had no intention of leaving. The Bell family was trapped in a living nightmare, but the witch's true hatred was reserved for John Bell himself. Over time, John's health began to decline. He grew weak, plagued by mysterious fits and choking sensations, as though an invisible hand was tightening around his throat. Despite the family's prayers and the clergy's efforts to exorcise the entity, the haunting only intensified. On the morning of December 20th, 1820, John Bell was found dead in his bed. Next to him, a strange vial of dark liquid was discovered. The Bell Witch's voice rang out triumphantly, proclaiming that she had finally killed John Bell. No one could explain the vial or its contents, and John's death was shrouded in mystery. Even after his death, the Bell Witch wasn't done. She visited his funeral, cackling and singing, her presence lingering like a dark cloud over the grieving family. Eventually, the entity quieted, its appearances becoming less frequent. But the legend of the Bell Witch remained a chilling reminder that sometimes evil has no explanation. To this day, the Bell Witch's story is one of the most famous hauntings in American history, and some claim that her spirit still lingers in the area, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim to torment. The Haunted Dybbuk Box, a true story. In 2001, an unsuspecting antique collector named Kevin Mannis purchased a small wooden wine cabinet at an estate sale in Portland, Oregon. Mannis, intrigued by its unusual history, learned that the box had belonged to a Holocaust survivor, a woman who had fled Poland during World War II. According to her family, the box was never to be opened, as it was said to contain something far more sinister than just an old bottle of wine. Ignoring the warning, Mannis took the box home and opened it. Inside, he found a collection of strange items: 2 locks of hair, a dried rosebud, a candlestick holder, a goblet, and a small engraved tablet with Hebrew writing. Unbeknownst to him, this was a Dybbuk box, said to contain a malevolent spirit in Jewish folklore. Almost immediately, Mannis' life took a dark turn. He began having vivid, nightmarish dreams where a shadowy figure would appear, always lurking just out of reach. Worse, when he awoke, he often found himself covered in mysterious bruises and scratches. Strange occurrences plagued his home. Lights flickered, strange odors filled the air, and objects moved by themselves. As the weeks went by, Mannis' luck seemed to disintegrate. He lost his business, relationships crumbled, and he was overwhelmed by a growing sense of dread and paranoia. Desperate to escape the haunting, Manus gave the box to his mother as a gift. Shortly after receiving it, she suffered a debilitating stroke and could only manage to say one thing: hate gift. Terrified, Manus decided to sell the Dybbuk box on eBay, where it gained infamy. Every subsequent owner reported terrifying experiences, including unexplainable health issues, strange sightings, and feelings of overwhelming despair. One owner, Jason Haxton, was so disturbed by the box that he contacted rabbis to help him seal it away using religious rituals. To this day, the Dybbuk box remains one of the most haunted items ever recorded, inspiring fear and fascination in equal measure. It even served as the inspiration for the 2012 horror film The Possession. Haxton now keeps it locked away, hidden from the world, but the question remains: is the malevolent spirit truly contained, or is it waiting for someone to set it free once again? The true nature of the box may never be fully understood, but the trail of misery and fear it left behind is undeniable.